All right, Kiss Army, welcome to the KissFAQ Podcast. Thank you for giving us your time today and letting us into your head. I hope we don't do any damage. This is a Kiss-related podcast by the board for the board. We hope that you enjoy. Welcome to episode 138 of the KissFAQ Podcast. I'm your host today, Julian Gill, admin on the FAQ message board, and I've got the usual suspects with me today. Marcus Almighty Mark.
How you doing?
69th Blizzard Ken.
Hello.
And St. Louis Kiss Lonnie.
What's up?
Gentlemen, as always, thank you so much for giving us your time to chime in with your opinions on the topics that we do. Straight out of the gate, let's just go to you, Mark, for some of your news. And we do like to share projects that all of us are kind of involved in individually. So that's why, if you ever wonder why we talk about some things that are so obviously not Kiss, Mark, take us away.
Thank you, Julian. Well, after much talk and posting over the last couple of weeks and months, the pre-order has started for the vinyl copy of my album, which is the Project Gemini album. That's the CD version, obviously. Still waiting to get back the final finished stuff with the hype stickers and everything and blah blah blah. But I've started the pre-order. If you're interested in ordering the album, all you need to do right now is just go to the Project Gemini Facebook page, the group, or the page. I have two separate things for it. And there's a nice post there. Also, if you go to YouTube and put Project Gemini in the search, you'll find my posts there for the album. And the most latest update, which is update 29, has everything about ordering it. It's there in great detail, not only in the video, but in the description underneath. So it's very easy to follow, to order. And I'm very pleased to say that after I posted the video at around 5 or so Eastern time, I just got inundated with so many orders already. I had one guy who ordered 3 copies of the album already in one shot. I was like, wow. I was very surprised and very humbled by it. So thank you for everybody who's already put their order in. I'm looking at you guys on the screen as well. Thank you very much. And, I'm just hoping that I'll get through the 100 that I put up for this. I'm thinking it'll go pretty quickly, but you never know. But I think everything is looking good. So thank you again, everybody, for your support. And, I'm very humbled.
That's real nice. Let's turn this into a Motley Crue 2 for us Fast for Love thing, where you have to do a second pressing. You can change the center or the insert or something like that. So that's really cool. Just talking about stuff that is kind of not Kiss related. I did get in the post yesterday. Rod Gonzalez, I'll Fight Hell to Hold You, the disco cover. I'd completely forgotten that this was on, this was actually on a tribute album that came out in, I think, 1999 or 2000, Kiss in Deutschland. So that's where it first came from, and this CD single came out later. So I'm still tickled pink by that cover version. So let's get into today's topic, which was going to be... is 2017 turning out to be a so-so year for Kiss, and are things kind of slowly petering out? With the news that came out, when was it, yesterday, on Wednesday, of the Vinnie Vincent's hopefully triumphant return to public life in some sort, or maybe a brief singular return to public life. Who knows what it may entail. It kind of wraps in with the whole thing of what is going on in Kiss World, because Kiss World naturally encompasses more than just Kiss. Ace Frehley is alive and well, but where is he? He's on tour. He's just had some dates announced in South America and Australia. I think one date popped up on Polestar the other day for me, for them. And Peter Criss, of course, did his thing earlier on in the year, and there's hopefully going to be a DVD or audio release of that show for everyone to be able to enjoy. And now Vinnie crawls out of his Tupperware, and we're not going to be able to not talk about some of these kind of negative things that have been attached to Vinnie over the past, decade. It simply is a matter of they are what they are. Now, initial impressions, Ken, Vinnie Vincent appearing at a Kiss Expo, which, by the way, is Atlanta, organized by the same promoter who did Peter Criss's appearances in both Los Angeles and New York City. What's your first impressions on that? And if you could turn your microphone on, that'd be even better.
Oh yeah, well, sorry about that. I didn't want a keyboard noise, I didn't want. Well, first of all, how did they find Vinny? I guess, or contact Vinny? How did he get his number, or whatever? First of all, and then how did they convince him to actually, show up to go somewhere, right? Yeah, I think it's going to be a money thing. I know. Well, when I saw that, I thought, wow, this is pretty amazing and pretty cool, and it's very enticing. Where, I haven't bought tickets or anything yet, but I'm considering it. Yes, for sure. I do want to see some of the other guests. What else is going on at this thing? I don't know if anything else has been announced besides Vinny, but that's a pretty big one. Well, Julian
Gill.
Julian will sell books or his vinyl collection. But otherwise,
I'll sign dorky little flyers of book covers.
Right.
No, I am doing a dealer table at the Atlanta Expo. The moment this came out, I'm like, okay, I've never been to Georgia. Why the hell not? I'm not getting any younger. So back to you.
So I'm considering it. Yeah, I'm definitely considering going. So it's probably a high percentage that I will go. So I'm ready to almost pull the trigger and buy that, package to meet and greet, with Vinny.
Are there any left at this point? I saw.
I don't know. There might not be. I don't know. But
I did see a post that someone said that they bought package number 87.
I bought number 78 last night.
Yeah. And that was late last night. When I got mine, I was, I think, number 12. And it was one of those things that I saw it. It was Pavlovian. You have to remember, I own VinnieVincent.com with a hyphen in between. So I do like Vinny. I do like his music. I've always salivated over the Guitarmageddon demos, particularly Rocks on Fire. So I saw, I sent him a 20-page interview once, to say, I'd love to interview you. Here are my questions, and it came back, returned to fucking sender. Kind of scrawled on it. So I'm thrilled by the prospect of it. Lonnie, what was your initial impression?
I didn't believe it at first. Your feed yesterday was the first thing that I saw on it, and I was like, what? I couldn't believe it. I was like, well, it has to be. I was looking for some kind of text in there that was some kind of April Fool's joke, even, because it was so far-fetched that something like this would even happen. I had given up on the idea of meeting Vinny. I thought, oh, it'll never happen. It's the one that got away. You know what I mean? It's the one that's too far out there that I'll never meet him. And I had come to accept that. And then that popped up yesterday. I was like, oh, it's too cool. It's too cool to be true. And as the day went on, and more posts were coming in about it, that, oh no, this is real. He's really going to be there. I was like, told my wife, what do you think about Atlanta in January? She goes, well, I've never been to Atlanta. She goes, what's there? And I go, well, Vinnie Vincent. She rolled her eyes at me like, really? What's this going to cost me? Well, so she's as much as I tease. She's a great sport. I got home from work last night, and she goes, you know what? You better do it. You better go ahead and buy that meet and greet. You're gonna be mad if you don't. So I'm going. So I'll see you there, Julian.
Yeah,
I'm excited. And I was like already thinking, okay, what 3 things am I gonna get signed? I'm gonna get my box set signed. I'm gonna get this book signed, and I'm gonna get me signed.
Well, yeah,
your leg,
because you've got your leg, so you've got something.
That's the move.
Something totally tangible. Hey, Vinny, will you sign my leg?
you might shy away from me.
I might well need to have your wife call mine because I bought my VIP package and my dealer table, and right now she doesn't know. So she doesn't watch this show, fortunately. So I gotta do a little bit of groundwork there. But if you think about it, Ken and I both went to see Peter in January of this year. Within a calendar year, just think, I will have seen Peter perform live, seen Ace perform live, seen Kiss perform live, and if all goes to plan, seen Gene perform live in Edmonton, and then Vinnie in January. And that's I believe that. And I saw Bruce in LA. Sorry, Bruce, to even make it sound like you just like, and also. Every single living member of KISS in one calendar year, for me personally, I just find incredible. When I thought Vinnie would never be seen or heard from again, Mark, what was your initial impression when you started seeing this news? I know you're very busy with your own stuff at the moment, but surely this kind of...
Well, obviously, when I woke up, because usually what I do first thing is I kind of go and check the feeds, and right away yours came up with Vinnie Vincent appearing at the Atlanta Expo, and I didn't believe it either. I was like, no, there's no way. I go, with all the people that I've been hearing over the year, like even Decibel Geek trying to get him on there and doing that fake little April Fool's interview with him on there, and saying that they've been trying for years to find every single source and contact to try to get a hold of this guy. People have been trying for a long time, and now all of a sudden he just pops out like out of nowhere, and he's going to appear at a Kiss Expo. And I was like, I really thought it was a hoax. I really did. I thought there's no way.
Yeah, I was looking for the fine print underneath, and I'm like, it's not. And I'm looking, it's not April Fool's Day. You know what? There's some kind of fine print that I'm not reading that this is some kind of hoax.
Yeah,
because it was so unbelievable.
And I'm really. Now I'm at the point where I'm really excited about it because I want to really see what's going on. I mean, hopefully this is going to be one of these things where he'll fill in a little bit of the gaps on what's happened over the last couple of years. Obviously, he's not going to be able to get through all 10 years that he's been missing in one sitting, but hopefully he'll be able to get through some of it and tell us what's happening, or maybe surprise everybody and say that he's been working on something and maybe he's going to have a new record coming out, or who knows. I'm looking as a positive, because usually when people come out and come back into the scene, it's because they have something to promote or something that they want to get out into the open, like maybe a new record or something. So maybe he's coming back because he's coming back into the music scene, and I would be excited because although I've said in the past that I'm not too hip on some of his guitar playing, I think he's an absolutely brilliant songwriter. And if he brings back any new music to listen to, I'll be ready to listen to it. Or
any old music. And here's the thing. I have no contact with Derek Christopher, who's the promoter. I have nothing to do with him. Anything I do send him an email here and there. And obviously did interact with him a little bit in LA because I was a dealer and he was the promoter. So we don't know all of the details right now. Anyone who does want details of this event, go to lakissexpo.com. And right now it's been turned over for the Atlanta Expo. He's using this one domain for all of the stuff that he promotes. He had the New York City stuff previously, and before that, of course, Los Angeles. And what it has for the schedule is the 19th between 2 and 8, I think at 2 p.m. and 8:30 p.m. will be the VIP, limited to 100 units. Now, I would expect by now that those have sold out, even at $289 plus the service fee, which puts it over $300. But fucking hell, for Vinnie Vincent, who's not really been seen in 20 years, to me that's equally good value to what Peter Criss's events were charging similarly. On the 20th is the actual Atlanta Kiss Expo. No hotel or venue has been finalized at this time, and that's perfectly normal. He's got to see what the ticket sales look like, all the details. Vinnie Vincent himself is listed as doing a Q&A live and in person at 4 p.m. that day. I don't I wouldn't be surprised if there's a moderator who's taking pre-screened questions in advance and it's not the audience shouting things at Vinnie. I think that would probably be the worst thing possible, to let the audience rule the asylum in this case. That it really needs to be you submit your questions in advance, any that are approved in discussions with Vinnie of what he wants to talk about and things that he does not want to talk about. Obviously, you have to respect the guest, especially one who is known, from the previous European run in 1996 to be, for want of a better term, particular, shall we say. So that's kind of how this thing is looking, and I'm just like, I gotta find a pink shirt to wear. I gotta get myself another copy of Euphoria or the EP, because I got rid of mine, stuff, the iTunes version. But what is Vinnie doing? I did hear from one person, again, this is unconfirmed, unsubstantiated, secondhand, not necessarily fake news, but completely unconfirmed, that the deal was done between lawyers for Vinnie to appear, which gives me hope. What do you want to see? Yeah. What do you want to see out of Vinnie appearing at a Kiss Expo is my next question. Ken.
Wow. I'd like to see him there first of all, I guess. the real
Still
Vinnie.
Got your fingers crossed.
the real Vinnie. Plus, I would also, like to see him really be open to. I know that you said there may be a moderator, which there very well could be, but open to some, difficult questions, maybe, and subjects. Just let it all out there, and let us know what's been going on, and let us know about the details back, when he didn't want to sign a contract with Kiss and that sort of stuff. Also, wouldn't mind him jamming, either on his own or with a band, maybe a tribute band or something, up there, and maybe show some of his solos, play some of his old solos, and stuff from either Creatures of the Night, Lick It Up, or even his Vinnie Vincent Invasion stuff. So those are the kind of things I'd like to see from him.
Yeah. I think we have to get rid of the elephant in the room, and that is the box set fiasco from 1997, Vinnie Vincent Archives. I was joking around on Facebook today, and I said Vinnie needs to have a stack of cassettes made up, and here's the archives, one of the promo archives covers. That is not actually a cassette of anything. That's a bunch of indie demos that I've got that I put the cover on. I think he should have this tape made up, and anyone that comes up to him and said, "Hey, you ripped me off that $100 for your archives," I should say something to the effect of, "Oh, I'm really sorry. Thank you for your support, but some really big things happened. Here's a cassette, thank you so much." And on one side have an apology message, and on the other side have like a throwaway demo or something to give folks, if they bring and give him their copy of their acknowledgement letter from 1997, so he gets that back. Oh. Yeah, and transactional. Come on, it's gotta
be cool.
They can't then come back after the fact and say they didn't get nothing for their $100. Here they get one of 20 cassettes or 30 or whatever. I would like to see him address that. Derek has posted on the LA Kiss Expo website that Vinnie is going to make a special video message on September the 1st. So hopefully, that
we get to see him, maybe a video message.
Hopefully, we get to see him. Hopefully, he covers something about I need to put away the past, and that's not the only bit of bad history Vinnie has. Obviously, anyone who's followed him over the years knows that horrible things happened to his ex-wife. Not great things happened to Vinnie and his then wife, who has since passed on. And that Vinnie has tried to do things over the years that have really gotten us excited. I mean, there was the release of Speedball Jam, which Yeah, it didn't work. Right now we're anticipating the release of Warrior. How much he has to do with that, I have no idea. I haven't done the work digging into that. Lonnie, what do you, if you're going to make the drive or the flight from St. Louis?
I don't know what we're doing yet. It's a 9-hour drive, so we're kind of back and forth. Is it worth it, or should we just fly? So, I like a good road trip, though. So,
any pinball machines to find on the way?
Right. See, that's gonna be a harder sell. This one I should have done it when I was free and single, but.
Hey, honey, you grab this side.
Right.
No.
What do you think about renting a truck for the rest of the way? I'm excited. I mean, maybe who knows what's in store, because, like you guys said, I don't think that all of a sudden he's just going to come out and do this for no reason other than I'm just going to do this in Atlanta. I think there has to be some kind of other connection to it. Maybe we're going to get the Vinnie Vincent tell-all book, and we'll get a first-hand account of what really happened from his perspective during those years in Kiss that everybody seems to be the most curious about more than any other years. Maybe we're going to get that. Maybe he's going to release new music. I don't know. New music would just be fantastic. He's, like Mark mentioned, like him or not, he's a fantastic songwriter. There's no disputing that. So you can't tell me that this guy hasn't written anything worthwhile in the last 20 plus years. There has to be things that he's done, not only the last 20 plus years, but stuff that there has to be stuff we don't even know about, I bet. Just like stuff comes out from Kiss, like, oh my gosh, where'd that come from? There has to be Vinnie Vincent stuff that we don't even know about. There has to be.
There's leftovers from Revenge. We know that.
No doubt. So, I mean, if it's new Vinnie music, if it's archived Vinnie music, if it's a Vinnie book, no matter what it is, I'm in. I'm probably the most excited about something Kiss related that I have been in a long time with this, because it's something fresh and it's something exciting and not the same old. Granted, I take that back. I was really excited about Gene's solo show that I saw, because that was really cool and very unique also. But it's stuff like this that gets me excited now. Not to take anything away from the band in its current form. I think it's great that in 2017 we still have a Kiss that still tours. But it's things like this that really get my synapses firing lately. Is these things that again, just like the Gene show, that we never thought would happen.
Yeah, well, Ken and I were really excited about the Gene show that didn't happen.
I just want to rub it in your face every chance I get.
Yeah, thank you for reminding us. So what am I excited about with the possibility of Vinnie making an appearance? And one of the things that popped into my head was there's an image, it circulates on the internet now, of Vinnie in his high school yearbook. Playing guitar solo. He did some stuff that year. It's all documented on the internet. So I would love, I don't want to see him trying to whip out a double V Jackson guitar and try and do any of those 190 mile an hour guitar solos. I don't know what he's like as a guitar player at this point. I would love him to have an acoustic guitar and do Innocent Eyes and Turn Yourself Around from the Treasure album, and Tears, and some of that early Adam Mitchell stuff that he co-wrote, the melodic stuff. I would absolutely kill just to see him sitting up there, maybe with a backing band, him on an acoustic doing that stuff without going full on electric. But obviously when people think of the Wiz, what he was in Kiss, they're expecting him to show up wearing the Ankh makeup, to put on
tugboat pulling in.
That's my
Julian.
phone. That's my phone.
Like a tugboat.
You could actually hear
Horn
that. So
going off.
no wonder.
A bull.
I'm wearing headphones, so
Open up the bridge.
I can't hear anything. Next, there'll be monks chanting in the background and wind chimes, and Bob Ezrin will come by and hit me over the head with a frying pan. So that's kind of what I want to see, at the expo. I'd love to see him do something kind of musical. I'm not so concerned with the questions because I just don't want them to be the same old inane shit that Kiss are peppered with on every kind of Rockland appearance they've ever made. Even from Kiss fans, it's like they only want the softball questions. They don't want the interesting ones because they're not interested in the interesting ones that the diehards want answered. If they just want to play rock and roll all night every night. They don't want to talk about Eskimo Sun or how Stanley the Parrot was transformed into Strutter. The same with Vinnie. He's not going to want all those kind of generic questions that he's answered 1,000 times before simply because he's making appearance for the first time in eons. So, Mark, what would you like to see? I don't know if you'll come down from Canada for Vinnie Expo, but to see reported about what would you like to see accomplished?
Well, having seen different kinds of expos myself over the years, like I remember like some of the early ones in the 90s, like Foundations Forum and stuff like that. And what I liked is when they had guitar players come out, is for them to come out and do like a little bit of playing. Like I think that would be something that most people who want to see Vinnie Vincent would want to see. Where is he now? How has he been developing it all in the time that he's been away? How is his guitar playing? I think that's the first thing that's probably going to enter a lot of people's minds is, can this guy still play like he played before? Now, if he doesn't play 190 miles an hour, I don't care about that. I just care about if he can still play decently melodically, if he can play something that catches my ear. That to me is more important than any kind of speed stuff. But I'd like to see him do something, musical. I'd love to hear him come out and say that he has new material and maybe even play like a snippet of something new. That would be great to hear. I'm not as much interested in the questions and answers, to be honest, because, like you said, this is a guy who's been in hiding for so long, and for him to come out now, they're going to really, really take this gently with him, I think. And there's not going to be any kind of real, like, everybody shut up. I got to hear the answer to this one kind of question. You know what I mean? There ain't going to be no pipe bombs, I don't think, in this sort of thing. So I think that I would be happy if he came out, played something, showed us how he is musically. Like Yngwie did that once where he came out, had a little DAT machine with some backing tracks, and he played some stuff along with it, and people loved it. It was like a little mini guitar clinic, right? And I would love something like that as well, just to hear him play and hear what he can do. And that to me is more important than any questions and answers, because I think him playing will answer a lot of questions that I would have, because if he's really good and his technique is nice, then we know that he's been working on music, and maybe he's been working on music while he's been away. Maybe he is coming back to come back into the scene and to play music again. I'm kind of just been nagging in the back of my head here that's why he's coming back. That's what I have a feeling of.
Well, one would assume that if he's making a one-off appearance at a Kiss Expo for money, that there is some reason rather than a one-off. NAMM several years ago when Diane previewed the Vinnie Vincent model guitars, which, $9,000 a pop. Who knows what happened with those, whether, anything came of that. Nothing seemed to actually come from that appearance. It was a tentative step. It seemed that some of the pieces were kind of falling into place, that he was getting a little bit of maybe business coverage in the background. My big concern is that people are going to harp on about the box. They're going to harp on with inappropriate questions about his personal life that could turn him off necessarily wanting to do anything, and that would be a crying shame. If you remember where he was in 1997, he was talking about a re-recorded All Systems Go done his way and not neutered how he felt that album was. I would love that. I would love to hear the Goran Edman demos that I think in 1996 when he was out in Europe, he brought a tape with him and had some studio time with Goran to see where his voice was at that time. I would love to hear stuff like that. I would love to know if he's been writing music or whether he has an interest in music. I would also like to simply know whether he considers himself retired. I mean, he turned 65 this year, didn't he? So to think that we can apply on him the image from the Vinnie Vincent Invasion album is not what Vinnie Vincent is in 2017, and that's gonna be a very interesting thing with all the unknowns that are currently going on. Let's talk about some concerns with this. And there's that foghorn again. So, Lonnie, what are your concerns with this expo and how it may happen, and some of your issues?
My concerns is, I guess my biggest concern is he really going to be there? And I think I think that's everybody's biggest concern. Is this, just like I thought yesterday morning when I read it for the first time, is this real? And if it is real, is he really going to show up? And if he does show up, is it going to go well? Meaning, is he not going to get pissed off and pull the plug and do the 100 VIPs on Friday night and say, you know what, I'm not coming back on Saturday. I've had it. I'm done. This is why I don't do appearances. I don't know. Is he going to be in a foul mood because people ask him questions about his personal life and don't respect him in that manner and have that maybe set him off the rails? I'm not saying he's like a time bomb or something, but there has to be a reason why he hasn't done a public appearance in the last 20 years. It must not be his thing to do public appearances if he hasn't done one in 20 years, because the offers, I'm sure, have been there. And the money, I'm sure, has been there. And is the money just big enough this time over a certain, line that he drew in the sand? Does he have something to promote? Is he is he in a different, but maybe he's in a different place in his life. And like you said, Julian, he's going to be 60. He's 65, and he said maybe he gets to a point where a lot of people do. And says, you know what, enough's enough. I can let's let the past be the past, and let's look forward. A lot of my GNR friends have said, well, maybe that's what happened to Axl, because not only are they touring, but he's showing up on time. He's in a good mood. He's meeting and signing autographs after the shows. Things that never happened back in the day. All three of those things never happened back in the day. Showing up on time, being in a good mood, signing autographs, things like that never happened. So is Vinny in a different place where he's, maybe something happened in Vinny's life where he said, you know what, it's time for me to stop acting like a jerk because life's too short. Maybe he had a change in life somehow. Maybe someone close to him had a change in life, and he thought, you know what, I need to count my blessings because I don't know how much longer I have here. So, but my reservations, though, getting back to the original question is what will he be like? Will he be in a bad mood? Will he pull the plug on it? Will he show up at all? Those are my biggest concerns, because we don't know, because it's so unknown, because we haven't seen him in 20. He hasn't made an appearance like this in 20 years.
Absolutely, and I think there were a lot of similar sorts of questions about Peter Criss's appearances this year. What was Peter going to be like? Obviously, he had been seen. He'd done, signings at the Chiller, expos and all that. Not on a regular basis, but he had been seen out, and it's not like his absence had been, he put an album out in that time and all that. Ken, what are your concerns about how this may go down? And
well, it's the same. I mean, Lonnie pretty much said it all. The same concerns, whether he's going to even show up in the first place, or whether, like you said, that he gets through Friday's signings, and he's like, man, this is just too much work or whatever, or someone pissed him off, and then he doesn't, says, I'm not coming back here tomorrow. So yeah, this is pretty much the same things. The only other concern would be is if I paid and then went there and he, you buy a plane ticket, you get there, and then all of a sudden he cancels out or something like that. because he has a reputation of not always living up to his promises, I guess you could say, as far as merchandise or selling things. So I would hope that would not be the case. So yeah, pretty much the same. I mean, Lonnie pretty much said it all, though.
Yeah, before I go to you, Mark, I'm going to hop in with some of my concerns, and they rotate mostly around the criticisms of the LA and New York expos. Number one, the long lines people had to get autographs, and how to kind of stagger that so that Vinnie is just not bludgeoned in the process. I think they need to think very carefully about that. We've heard that there are only 100 VIPs packages. If I get there and I see more than 100 people, I'm going to call, foul on that, because that's bullshit. You cannot stagger the amount of time that people have with him and kind of have a assembly line of slowly going through and lay all the ground rules out for attendees in advance. That you are not to touch him, or if that's fine, you're going to stand next to him and he will come in as close as he wants for his comfort zone. That needs to be detailed to everyone before. It should have been detailed before anyone bought the package, to be honest, but that could still be communicated, that if you don't like these terms, then you're welcome to a refund, because no doubt there'll be more people who are waiting for a VIP package with only 100 available. It has to be limited to those 3 items signed is all you're allowed to get signed at the VIP event. You cannot buy extras that day. It has to only be the 3. There cannot be any people with 80 fucking items like there were in LA coming in and taking up all that time. That should have been totally handled beforehand, after, the night before. 80 fucking items. That's ridiculous. That's not a personal collector. If you're collecting 80 fucking signs, that's bullshit to me.
It's a reseller.
That's, to me, I immediately call a reseller. And if you need 80 items signed for your personal collection, then get a fucking life. So,
And that's us saying this, who do a freaking podcast every week. So.
Yeah, let's talk about being reasonable. Let's be reasonable to everyone who is attending, whether it's someone who's just buying an autograph package to come in and see him and get a photo and a picture, or coming in and, I haven't looked through all the different options, to be totally honest, but I want to see that side of things absolutely ratcheted down. I never want to hear another example of a expo where people had to get off a fucking tour bus because it was overbooked. And that goes the same for photo opportunities. It's disrespectful to the star. It's very disrespectful to the people who are paying so that you can have the star there, and you are making money off that star appearing. So it's about respect. Keep it calm, keep it cool, keep any of the rules, that you are not to ask for copies of your 1997 Metaluna receipt to be signed, make all those things that are out of bounds very clear to the people who are purchasing these packages, so that there is no awkwardness. You also need a hard-ass person, a gatekeeper, to be the bad guy. That's been mentioned. I believe 3 Sides mentioned it in their episode about New York. You've got to have someone who's going to say, get the fuck out, you're done, that's it, and keep things moving along very smoothly, so that Derek can go do Derek things as a promoter and not have to worry about the process. Vinny's got security, everything he needs to make himself feel comfortable, because, come on, we've heard of some of the paranoia, and come on, he's not been seen in 20 years, and there is history. So make sure there are some big, burly, badass-looking Hell's Angel-type dudes who are gonna freaking tattoo your forehead if you so much as blink rudely at him. So that kind of thing.
Not my forehead, my leg.
Oh yeah,
my leg.
Yeah. Sorry, Lonnie. Mark, let's get back to you and back on topic.
Yeah, so for me personally, what I'm kind of concerned about is that now that it's been out in the open, we kind of know how people are on the internet. Some people are cool about things, and some people can be really cruel about these kind of things. And I know, well, Vinnie Vincent was known to be a user of the internet. He had his own message board and stuff. So chances are he'll probably be online checking things, I would think. And I'm kind of worried that there might be too much negativity online for him to maybe say, you know what, screw this. Now I know why I wasn't out and about all these years. I don't want to get back involved with this garbage, and that's it. It kind of reminds me, this is kind of interesting, because I don't know why this jumped into my mind, but there was a video game a few years ago called Rock Manager, and you were a manager of different people, like different situations. Like there was a guy who was coming back, who was an old retired guy who was coming back to the scene. Then there was another kind of up and coming young band you had to manage, and they give you different situations in the game. And there was a situation where they had a guy who was really, really sensitive to outside criticism that you had to manage. And it kind of reminds me, like he was like the Vinnie Vincent in the game. You know what I mean? Like you have to kind of shoo aside all the negative stuff and keep things away from him, just so that you would make it to that certain point in the game, and then you would advance. So I'm almost thinking like that way, that they should, I'm hoping that the people that are tending to him for this kind of direct him away from the negative stuff. And hopefully there isn't that much negativity about it. I'm hoping people are excited about it and make him want to come to this and make him want to attend, because, you know, if he's really that much of a flight risk for these kind of things, then people have to realize that if you start giving him reasons to not show up, he may not show up, you know? And that's the one thing that I'm kind of concerned about for people, because whether I'll go or not, I'm not sure. I mean, I'm not sure. What's the date of this again?
January
the 19th and 20th.
19th, 20th, yeah.
Okay, because I'm not sure when NAMM is, but I'm planning to go to that this year, so I'm not sure if that'll conflict with it or not. But in any case, if I do go, you know, I'd hate to be flying from Toronto down to Atlanta and then, you know, find out that, oh, Vinny read some comment on the net, you know, somebody calling him a this or that, or a criminal or a crook or whatever, and then he decided not to come. You know, that's people need to use their brains a bit. I don't mean to sound harsh about it, but you got to kind of know who you're dealing with here. If you want this guy to come, let's give him all the reasons in the world to come. Let's, you know, we don't have to give him, you know, send him flowers or stuff like that, but we have to at least make it sound that he's being invited to the situation. You know what I mean? So that's my main concern about the whole situation.
And I hope that Derek continues to whisper in his lawyer's ear, this is how much Peter made. This is how much Peter made. This is how much Peter made. And I think the box set and all the people, obviously $100 in 1997 or $100 today, whatever, is a lot of money to some people, and they did purchase something that was never delivered, that was, you know, given delay after delay after delay, an excuse. So again, I did say that how that's kind of the elephant in the room. It would really help if he could find some way to kind of assuage that, you know, other than, you know, my silly cassette idea, that's just, you know, inane, but you know, that is really one of the things. These products that have been sold that were not delivered are always going to be out there. And I mean, I've had to delete like 6 comments off the thread on the FAQ today about that, of people, you know, pissing and moaning. And me saying pissing and moaning is, I didn't pay for it back then, and so I wasn't ripped off, so I can't put myself in their shoes. Now, Vinny obviously has to wear those shoes as the person responsible. So I think the September the 1st message is going to be very important in setting the tone for how this whole thing is kind of received. The VIPs will have been sold out, without a doubt. If they're not gone today, then, you know, Derek's probably trying to figure out, well, can we do another VIP on the 18th or on the, you know, judging by demand of how many people's are rejected, or maybe, you know, 600 to get sold of the 100 available. They better not, but there you go. So we need to get a far better feel for how Vinny kind of views himself for the situation of his making. Okay, whether or not how much he was involved in the making of all those problems back in 1997, you know, is irrelevant to a person who shelled over $100 to him. So, that's my big concern, that he's got to find a way to deal with that on a PR basis, because while I can say it was $100 in 1997, get the fuck over it already. Well, as this week's news kind of proves, anyone who's been watching the news, we're still not over shit that happened 150 years ago, so people aren't going to be over stuff that happened just 20 years ago with their money. So, Next thoughts. Merchandise. What do you want to see him selling? What would be, if you could have a dream item offered by Vinnie at this event, and let's be realistic, not the whole fucking 7 cassette. He should do it on cassette just to piss people off. But what would you love to see him flogging for this event, Lonnie? What would be your?
I'd like the autobiography.
Yeah.
I think, to me, that'd be great. Because we've all heard the story that Paul Stanley, he stepped back and waited for everyone to get their say, and then he put out his autobiography so he could have the final word. Well, Vinnie just kind of laid in the bushes, just kind of hid in the shrubbery a little bit, and waited for Paul to come out, and everything to kind of die off a couple years, and now Vinnie Vincent is going to get the final say and put out the last word, especially regarding those years that he was involved, that everyone is the most curious. The diehard Kiss fans, that's the era they want to know the most about, are those transition years right in there that Vinnie was front and center. So if it came out, like he did that video on September 1st and he says, yeah, I'm doing this at Atlanta, I can't wait to see everybody. By then I'll have my book will be for pre-order. Oh, that'd be fantastic to me. That'd be better than any demo, better than any demos or new music or anything. A Vinnie Vincent autobiography would be it for me. That'd be fantastic.
All right, so I'm gonna put you on the spot. So all of the Kiss biographies had ghostwriters, including Gene's.
Mm-hmm.
If Vinnie was to do a book in the tone of a previously written Kiss biography, so Gene, Ace, Peter, and Paul, who would you want to be his ghostwriter or helping him the most? Because I'm just saying, get the same guy who helped Peter Criss do his.
Exactly, it's Peter Criss, the you screwed up guy. I'm the angel here. It's everybody else. That's the tone. That's the tone of the book. That needs to be the tone of the book. Is that these assholes are all to blame. And I do not deserve the reputation that it was bestowed onto me. That needs to be the tone of the book, for sure. Right or wrong.
Mark, what would you love to see come out of this appearance merchandise-wise? And I suddenly just wondered, I wonder if Gene's box set, finally gaining some traction, has anything to do with this as well. So what would you like to see?
You know what? I liked Lonnie's idea about the book, but there's one thing that I would really like, and I know this is unlikely this will happen, but it's kind of taking the book idea but a step further. Get one camera, place it in front of him, get him to sit on a chair, and for 2 hours talk about all his history on camera. No ghost writers, no nothing. Put it on a DVD and sell it at the convention. Just him talking to you, telling you, hi, I'm Vinnie Vincent, and here's what happened over the last 10 years. And no filtering, no editors, no nothing. Give me the real deal without people saying, no, I don't think we should put this in here or this and that. No, I changed my mind. I don't want this in here. I want him to just, that would be my dream, is to just have him there. Just one camera sitting, looking into it, telling me what happened, giving me all the dirt. He can say, just like how Lonnie said, you know what, these idiots screwed up. Here's what happened. I have the contract right here to show you that I didn't sign it. Now this is why, and show you, like, you know what I mean? Like, I want him to go into great detail, and I think that as soon as you put somebody in between them, like a ghostwriter, you never get the full, real details about everything. Let him tell you it from his own mouth straight to you. That would be my dream thing to have. A DVD. I don't care if he wants $50, $100. If it's just him talking on there to me or to the people that buy it, telling you what happened, I say that'd be money well spent.
End up on YouTube anyway. I mean, that'd actually be a kind of cool idea, and not necessarily him just trying to freeform it for 2 hours, but just imagine him sitting in front of a camera and you've got someone off camera just saying word association. So, I love it loud, Vinny, and that's the other thing. You don't get to ask him a question. You just get to say revenge, or
sure,
cock teaser, or heavy metal poontang, or and just go word association, no questions on that. Treasure, what's the first thing that he says about that experience, or Little Anthony and the Imperials, that's the kind of stuff. If he was to do a DVD, I wouldn't like to see, what's the real situation of you living in where an interviewer might inject some of their kind of stuff into it, what we've heard, the rumors, our opinions, just throw words and phrases at him, bangles.
Yeah.
And see what he remembers.
That's what I'm saying. Don't put somebody in there to be the middleman. Just let him talk himself. This way he can talk about what he wants and put it out there without having somebody say something that might tick him off or whatever, You're
right, but a ghostwriter, I think, for making a book is an ideal thing to translate what's in the artist's head into a readable format for a mass consumer. That you can't just let people kind of speak for themselves. You have to translate it into something, and shape it.
For a book,
Yeah, for a book. I love your idea. Yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm just kind of going off on a tangent of my own of, Vinny on camera kind of, would be real neat. Give him a guitar as well, so he can noodle around. Well, here you go. So, Ken.
Yeah. Well, when Mark started to say, get Vinny down and sit in front of a camera, I thought he was going to say to have him show him putting on the makeup, the Kiss makeup for the dog. Have him do that.
That'd be something.
But no, he didn't do that, obviously. So for me, I like the book idea. A tell-all book, right? And the ghostwriter thing, yes, he needs a ghostwriter. He needs someone to clarify what he's trying to say. He's telling him a story, and what do you mean by that? Saying it that way, or that word, you say, what do you mean? Expand on that, so you can get more information to clarification and when they write the book, detail wise. Otherwise, I would like maybe demos. Some kind of demo CD of a bunch of the demos, better demos than the ones that we've heard. Better Lick It Up demos or other ones, even from other his solo material or pre-Kiss even. Just the best of the demos, maybe, that kind of thing. So, but yeah, I think the book would be the best thing as far as I'm concerned. I don't know what else. And I guess the only other thing is, if it's not a new book, maybe spring a new album out, a new CD of new material that he's been putting and writing and recording in Nashville. Hey, why not?
Yeah, maybe take.
He could talk to.
Take pre-orders for Archives Volume 1 on CD.
Yeah, he could talk to Mark about that. Mark can give him some tips on that. Maybe Mark can ask Vinnie Vincent about Pro Tools 11, or something. How to work out the bugs. So, that sort of. Anyway, yeah.
All right, so let's say on this on-stage session with Vinny, he comes on with a boombox and says, "I'm going to play you some stuff out of my archive."
Oh, that'd be cool.
What would be the one thing, if you were present, that you would want Vinny to play a sample, not give you the full thing, to give you a tease from in his career? Lonnie.
Yeah.
I see you struggling there.
Glad you asked him.
Gonna make
back
you,
on the streets
with
back
Paul
on the streets
with Paul on vocals. Yeah.
That'd be my holy grail
That would
for
go
Vinny
down.
to play that.
That would go down.
He'd be one of the few that has it. You would think anyway. Paul Stanley singing Back on the Streets.
That would go down very well with Universal and
Hell
Kiss.
yeah. Be freaking awesome.
Yep. Mark.
I'm not really sure because I'm not too familiar, honestly enough, with some of his demos and what's out there and what isn't out there. I mean, one thing that I'd like to maybe hear is and I don't even know if this is even out there or not, but is there any kind of demos that he did with maybe Gene doing Unholy? Like, is there an original demo of them working on that song? Because one thing I'd love to hear is that, you know, how Bruce got rubbed the wrong way about Vinny talking about the guitar solo and all that stuff in that song, and how he's song and what Vinny would have played if he was to play the song in full. You know, what would the solo have been with him? You know?
Yeah, that would actually be kind of interesting. I mean, not to kind of put Bruce in any spot. It's like, Vinny, if you were to record the solo, how would you have done it? Better yet, show us. You know, just like Bruce used to do with those backing tapes from Revenge when he did the expos in the late 90s. You know, he used to have Heart of Chrome and I think Unholy, the demo.
I was there for that.
Yeah, so he had those and he used to play along to them, and, you know, have Vinny play along to them would be absolutely outstanding. Ken, before I go to you, I'm going to go... I can't decide which end of the spectrum I want to go here, so I'm going to give both and just be a complete cheat. Play for me the first demo you ever recorded and the most recent demo you've recorded. And tell me about each of them. It would be first and last. You know, so what is the most recent demo you've recorded, Vinny? When was that? And what's it sound like? I'd absolutely be fascinated, you know. Has he done anything since 91, 92? Or, you know, well, obviously with, you know, the Guitarmageddon stuff comes later. You know, what is that most recent? And then what is the first? Some of the stuff that we've never heard about is Hunter, a band he had in Connecticut in the early 70s, and then the younger generation. Is there any of that stuff that he has? I would love to hear any of it, but specifically his very first demo recording, even if it's off a really shitty 1960s recording system, and God knows what that might have been. Ken.
Mark actually stole mine, so I agree that, you know, because I kind of think of the Unholy demo, so that was good. But otherwise, if not that, I and it's not just a particular song, but or maybe something about how he approaches writing songs on the guitar, like how he approached writing "Lick It Up," for instance. How did that start? The idea. Did you start with a chord pattern? What is this? What is this? You know, technique for songwriting? How does it come to his head? Or what did he start with? Does he start with words first, or does he start with a melody or a riff? That'd be interesting because he's just a great songwriter. So I'd like to know how much or how he does, you know, write these songs. I think it would be very interesting.
Yeah, and that kind of leads to another one that would be kind of interesting, whether it's as a question to him during a Q&A or to him in kind of a playing session. It's like, Vinny, what is the one idea that you were most surprised didn't resonate with Gene or Paul that Kiss passed on? What is the one thing that you brought to them that you just cannot for the life of you understand got no traction with Kiss to this day? You know, was it something that he recycled for the Invasion album, or something that just lay abandoned, maybe?
It was his extended solo during the concert or something.
You know, and there's so many questions, I mean, as fans, that we'd love to have answered. I was reading an interview in a newspaper article recently that had him talking about how he walked in Ace's boots for the first 30 shows of the Creatures tour, literally. And Ross Radley shared some photos of that recently on his Facebook page for the Magic Book, that you actually see the lightning bolts going down the side. So Vinnie had said that in an interview way back. That's a 1986 interview actually. And some of those stories from the road on Creatures, and especially the guitars. I would love to talk about the Jackson thing and get a little bit more clarity on that. There's so many things that, just getting it all into one expo would be a technical impossibility, but, it'd be nice in some ways that a lot of this could be communicated to Vinnie in a way that, this is what fans are interested in. Are there possibilities for making money out of some of these questions for him in a way I don't have to interact with them personally? Who knows? So let's get back to the original question that we kind of asked at the top of the show is, are things with Kiss starting to peter out, or are we in a golden era? With Kiss themselves, I think things are starting to lose steam to a certain extent, yet Paul has recently said that he might be getting an itch to do an album. Ken, this was kind of your question.
Yeah, so his before this thing popped up, but
and Vinnie and Paul, both coming out with kind of interesting things recently. How does it change your kind of where you're thinking with the question?
It's still the same as far as Kiss is concerned. It's kind of been to me a slow year. They've done spot shows here and there, throughout the whole year. No kind of dedicated, just straight, tour. I guess you could say they toured, but nothing major. The thing about Paul is, I think it was probably about a year ago or so that he said that he was thinking about, wanted to maybe record a new album, but nothing happened this whole, the whole time in between. So now he's talking about it again. Does he mean it, or what? They're going to get together and do something, maybe go out on a high note, because right now things are kind of slow as far as I'm concerned. I know they have the Kiss Cruise, but that's just your standard one time a year for the Kiss fans that can make it there. But otherwise it's been kind of slow. Merchandise wise, I don't know what we get this year. Kiss World CD.
It's exciting.
Come on, can you do better than that? Give us something, to be excited about, I guess. And maybe they're planning something, I hope, for next year. Have a big year next year.
No, we're having a big year this year, man. We're getting a rock and bruise in Vacaville.
Well, that's true. Wow. There is one going to be out. Yeah. Well, I'll go to that for sure, the opening of that one. Maybe Julian will be there too. But so that's about as exciting as it's going to get for me now. I don't know.
Yeah, it's really a shame that things are so quiet right now that you'd almost think that they're in the studio recording.
I hope you're right.
Just recording something, anything.
Sneak something out on us.
Whole album, EP, anything. Mark, what do you think? Are we kind of in the doldrums here?
I would say yes. And the funny thing is that also doing the Yes podcast, I'm noticing something very interesting, a parallel here, because a few years back, Yes were kind of in this kind of position where nothing much was really going on. And then it's funny how one thing can happen that can just ignite it, boom, like that, and things start happening again. Like when Yes announced that they were going to make that record that they made back a few years back, that Heaven and Earth one. While it wasn't the greatest Yes album by any stretch of the imagination, it started the wheels going again. People got excited. The record, they were touring. They were still touring all the time, but this was something more solid. Like an album can do a lot in the eyes of your fans. Like it's something legitimate. It's not just you're touring on greatest hits, right? So right now, there's big talk about the 50th anniversary for Yes, and there's two factions of Yes, the ARW and the actual Yes, and both of them have lots of big things stored up to be happening, like a record coming out. Both of them have plans for albums. So this is something that I think Kiss need to do as well, because until you start injecting something like this that your fans can grasp onto and get excited about, it's going to be, you're going to be counting sheep here pretty soon. It's going to be that much of a lull in the operation. You got to have something going on, otherwise people start forgetting and their attention goes elsewhere, right? So, and once you get it built back up, because I thought at one point Kiss were really rocking when they had Sonic Boom come out, there was lots going on, they were doing a lot of touring and stuff, and then not long after that, bam, they surprised us again with another record, and it's like, wow, they're really starting to fire on all cylinders here. Things are happening, there's records coming out every couple of years now, so one would have thought that would have been a continuing trend, and then all of a sudden, we know what happened, we don't have to go through that again, right? But, I think that they are in a doldrum. They are kind of in a lull and kind of drifting. They're in neutral, as you would say. But it doesn't take very much, I think, especially for a band like Kiss, to just pop that gear shifter into first again and get everything moving. Just get back into some action. Say, listen, you know what? We're going to do that record. We're finally going to sit down, forget what's going on with the state of the music business. We're going to make a record. Let's go do it. And people will hop on board and things will get rolling again. Because once you get that ball rolling, it's like a snowball effect. More and more it'll grow, and then boom, that's it,
Good thoughts. Lonnie.
Yeah, this year and last year and 2015, just the last 3 years, in my opinion, have really just seen Kiss like in a lull. Not much going on. Some sporadic touring here and there. They did do that secondary market tour in the U.S. last summer. They did tour the U.S., not the U.S., Europe, the first part of this summer. But with a pretty bare stage, with not a whole lot of pomp and circumstance that we've become accustomed to with Kiss. And no new product really to promote. They had Kiss Rocks Vegas come out. I guess it was about this time last year that it came out, and that was cool, and that was exciting to get an actual product. But other than Kiss World in spring this year, we really haven't gotten anything tangible to put our hands on as far as the band goes. It really reminds me of where Kiss was in like 05, 06, 07, first part of 08, before they started promoting that, hey, we're going back in the studio, we're going to record a new album, and kind of got people excited about the band again, like Mark was saying. And it's really a shame that for the last 3 years we've been in this, because this is a decade later and Kiss isn't getting any younger. The end is closer. I mean, I thought the end was close 10 years ago, but here we are 10 years later. Well, the end is, inevitably has to be closer than ever, because putting on a Kiss show isn't like the Eagles going out on tour. It's very different. And when you've put on a show and a production like Kiss has, and what a average concert goer is going to be expecting when they go to a Kiss concert, and if you're not delivering that, it's really going to tarnish the image. So to me, it's really a shame that we've been in this lull for the last 3 years. And there's no disputing that we have been in a lull. Yeah, there have been tours. Yeah, they've been. I mean, people said, people that have went to them have said, yeah, they've been great. But it's kind of just been the same old, but not a whole lot of it at the same time. So, but things like the Gene Simmons solo thing, Vinnie Vincent in Atlanta, that's what, like I said earlier, that's what's getting me excited right now, not something that Kiss as a band is doing. And it's kind of a shame, because I wish Kiss as a band would do something that would get me excited to say, hey, they're doing this, or hey, you know what, they're going to put out a live box set with all the original recordings that made up the live album. Something like that. To get us excited about Kiss as a band, and not individual members, what they're doing on their own or guest appearances somewhere, And Julian has to say too that, well, the Peter Criss experience for him a few months ago had been one of the most exciting things he's done. It's these other entities that are getting the hardcore fans excited these days, not something that the band themselves is doing. And that's a shame because the years are starting to become numbered, like it or not.
Yeah, time is ticking by rapidly, and here I am. I'm enjoying, the stuff Peter Criss has done this year. Ace Frehley writing with Gene Simmons for his next solo album. I mean, Gene Simmons working on Gene Simmons' box set. All we need now is Bruce Kulick to come out and say, I'm going to work on my next solo album, and what he's going to try and do one better than BK3. Hallelujah, bring it on. And Kiss, it doesn't leave much for Paul Stanley, which, for me, that's the guy who got me into Kiss was Paul. It's always been about Paul for me. I was never a Demon guy. It was always about Paul. So it kind of feels like things are grinding to a standstill. And, hopefully they just go in the studio. I would love to see them do something like the Rolling Stones did on their most recent album. They just went in, they banged it out, didn't spend a lot of time thinking about it. Obviously they were doing blues covers, but, if you can kind of take that organic nature of recording, go back to how they recorded in the early days. Forget about the way they've done things taking months and months and months. Gene doesn't want to do months in the studio, so try and do it in weeks. Well, okay, I can't do an album in weeks, but we did knock out 3 songs. Do 3 songs. Put them up on iTunes. Put them out as an EP. Vinyl. With different colored vinyl. Red, green, purple, blue vinyl. There you go. 4 copies. Most diehards are going to buy
4 times.
Yeah, you're going to buy the same damn thing 4 times. Maybe have 4 different bonus tracks.
We're the kings of buying the same music we already own. So why not? Why not tempt us some more?
So maybe stop trying to think about doing an album. If that's a few songs too much, just book 2 weeks of studio time. See what you record. Did you only get 1 song? Put it out. Motley Crue, The Tour, 1 song, Sex. Okay. Mm-hmm. Not a very good song, but that's not really the point.
But it was product.
It was product. It was something. It was something creative. If you happen to go in that, 2 weeks or whatever that you book, and you manage to knock out an album, and you're like, wow, this is like 1973 all over again. It's got, it's completely natural, not a lot of technology. It's just rock and roll music. Put it out. 3 songs, whatever. So, I'd really like to see them stop kind of facilitating about whether they're going to do anything creative. Either say, no, we're fucking dumb, we're just going to do, and call it. Say, this is, we're going to do our last few. Or go back in and keep making music, because as a band, all these bands are still making music out there. There are very few that have just stopped and are resting on their laurels. So, don't tease us. Don't say, well, I might be it. Fuck you. Either you are or you aren't. You're the artist. Either you want to make music or you don't. And don't say, well, I do, I don't. No. Just fucking make a decision saying, I have nothing more to say musically. Fine. I'll accept that as your answer. And if you change your mind a year down the road, well, I'll accept that too. But don't say, well, I might. Will I? No, forget it. So it certainly feels like things are kind of slowing down. Again, they're playing live tomorrow and the next night, so there are shows here and there. They're not exactly in the places that are easily accessible, which doesn't help. Like having to go on a boat for the doesn't not very easy. It's not like driving over to Reno, which it's still a bit of a drive, but I'd like to see them do one last tour in the States, one last big proper market where they don't cancel some of the dates like they did a few years ago with Mountain View. So, all right, there we go. That was Is Kiss petering out, and has Vinnie Vincent thrown a spanner in the works? I certainly hope he has. I hope he has a very successful expo in Atlanta, and that it all comes to fruition, and that none of our concerns are realized, and that all of our hopes are realized. This topic today has gone off on a little bit of a tangent with the Vinnie thing, but there you go. That's current Kiss news. Vinnie, here's to you. Let's look forward to that message. 2 weeks from today, actually, will be September the 1st, I believe. So, actually, 2 weeks tomorrow. Got to remember that sort of detail. We will see what he has to say and what Derek shares on lakissexpo.com. And for those of you who are interested in expos, next Saturday, August the 26th, Nashville Rockin' Pod Expo. And that's being held at the Music Valley Event Center in Nashville, Tennessee. Some of the latest guests announced include Raven. There were some guys from the Rock and Roll Parking Lot documentary from the 1980s, if you remember. Judas Priest, are going to be there. Courtney Cronin-Dold, don't know who that is, but Todd Poole from Roxy Blue. Gunnar Nelson is a recent addition. Chad Lee, rock and roll photographer. Kenny Olson from Kid Rock. Christopher Williams from Accept. There is an extremely long list of people who are going to be at this expo. Oh, including me, Lonnie, him, Mark. Will be there from the KissFAQ podcast. Our friends at Podcast. Chris, of course, at Decibel Geek. Zilch. BJ from Rock and or Roll, and a whole other bunch of podcasts. So if you're in the Nashville area and able to make it, do come on down. There'll be records and vinyl for sale. There'll be a whole bunch of personalities from the music industry, both performers, producers, executives, and whatnot, and all these podcasts. So it's stay for the jam session at the end as well, because that should be an absolute nightmare. Absolutely hilarious. A lot of good
Facebook
people.
Live of Julian doing it out.
I got no problem doing it. It's just how's it going to sound? Have I been practicing in the right key? That's the challenge. So let's bring the show to a close. So we thank you for your time wherever you do listen to us or follow us on Facebook, on the FAQ, on YouTube, or wherever. Do join in with your comments about this expo possibility and what it means to you and what you hope it entails. So we thank you for listening. So from Mark, from Lonnie, and Ken and myself, we thank you, and we'll see you next time. Thank you for spending time listening to the KissFAQ podcast today. All sales are final. There are no refunds. If you'd like, look us up on Facebook or come over to the KissFAQ message board and discuss the topic we broadcast today. Don't forget to rate us on iTunes, Spreaker, or wherever you've listened to the show. We hope you'll join us again.